Several U.S. Navy sailors appear to be okay after a nuclear submarine that they were on collided with an unknown object in the South China Sea. Roxana.
14:20 p.m., South China Sea. Imagine the surface of the ocean as a mirror, flat, deceptive, calm. But 400 feet below, something is moving. USS Philippine Sea, a Ticonderoga-class guided missile cruiser, cuts through the thermal layers at 12 knots. Aegis radar arrays silent, running in MCON Alpha, Total Electronic Emissions Control. In 54 minutes, this silence will shatter into one of the most sophisticated submarine warfare traps ever executed in these contested waters. What unfolds next will redefine undersea dominance in the Indo-Pacific theater. You're standing on the bridge of Philippine Sea right now. Around you, 380 crew members maintain their stations, unaware they're being hunted. The cruiser departed Yokosuka Naval Base 6 days ago on what the Navy classified as a routine freedom of navigation patrol through international waters. But there's nothing routine about this mission. Philippine Sea is equipped with the AN/SQQ-89V15 undersea warfare combat system, capable of detecting submarine signatures at ranges exceeding 50 nautical miles in optimal conditions. Its complement includes two SH-60R Seahawk helicopters, each carrying Mk-54 lightweight torpedoes and AN/AQS-22 airborne low-frequency sonar systems. This is 9,600 tons of anti-submarine warfare capability moving through one of the world's most strategic choke points. But 180 miles to the west, inside a reinforced command bunker on Hainan Island, senior naval officers are finalizing a plan they believe will humiliate the U.S. Pacific Fleet. Their target? USS Philippine Sea. Their weapon? A coordinated Wolfpack submarine ambush using 3 Type 039A Yuan-class diesel-electric submarines, supported by long-range maritime patrol aircraft and an underwater surveillance network that's been tracking Philippine Sea since it entered the South China Sea. The Chinese Naval Command has designated this Operation Silent Blade, a demonstration of their growing undersea warfare capabilities and a message that American surface vessels no longer operate with impunity in these waters. The plan is elegant in its simplicity. 3 submarines arranged in a triangular formation, each positioned 40 nautical miles apart, creating a 120-mile acoustic net. As Philippine Sea transits through the predetermined kill zone near Scarborough Shoal, the submarines will simultaneously illuminate the cruiser with active sonar, simulating a weapons-grade targeting lock. The political objective? Force the American vessel to react defensively, capture the incident on multiple platforms, and broadcast it as evidence of U.S. vulnerability. The military objective? Test American reaction times, electronic warfare responses, and tactical doctrine under pressure. What they're really doing is gathering intelligence on one of the Navy's most capable anti-submarine warfare platforms. But there's something the Chinese planners don't know, something their intelligence networks failed to detect, something that will transform their carefully orchestrated trap into their own nightmare. USS Philippine Sea isn't alone, and this isn't a routine patrol. Operation Phantom Trident began 11 days before Philippine Sea ever left Yokosuka. U.S. Indo-Pacific Command, working with Naval Intelligence and the Office of Naval Research, identified suspicious patterns in Chinese submarine deployments. 3 Yuan-class boats leaving Yulin Naval Base within 48 hours of each other, unusual for vessels typically operating independently. Satellite imagery showed increased activity at anti-submarine warfare training facilities. Intercepted communications suggested a major underwater exercise, but the target parameters kept referencing high-value surface combatant and contested waters scenario. The Pentagon made a calculated decision. Let them think they're hunting us. While they're focused on Philippine Sea, we'll be hunting them. The actual task force comprises 5 platforms operating in coordinated silence. USS Philippine Sea is the bait, visible, predictable, seemingly vulnerable. But 60 miles to the northeast, USS Springfield, a Los Angeles-class fast-attack submarine, shadows the cruiser at 400-foot depth. Its AN/BQQ-10 acoustic detection system passively listening to every sound in the water column. Another 80 miles southeast, USS John Warner, a Virginia-class submarine equipped with the newest TB-37 multi-line towed array, holds station in the Luzon Strait approaches, and somewhere in the thermal layers between, classified locations even Philippine Sea's captain doesn't know. 2 P-8A Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft orbit at 15,000 feet. Their APY-10 radar systems and sonobuoy fields creating an underwater surveillance grid that turns 40,000 square miles of ocean into a transparent hunting ground. The Chinese submarines have no idea they're swimming in an aquarium. 3 minutes into the operation timeline, USS John Warner's sonar operator detects the first anomaly. A faint 7-blade propeller signature at bearing 284, range approximately 47 nautical miles. The acoustic profile matches Chinese Yuan-class specifications, specifically the quieter third batch variants with improved anechoic coating. The contact is designated Sierra 22. The operator keys his intercom. Con, sonar, new contact, classify as probable submarine. Within 90 seconds, the data streams through subsat communications to the Philippine Sea Tactical Operations Center and to 7th Fleet Headquarters in Yokosuka. At 14:29 p.m., one of the P-8A Poseidons drops a pattern of 16 AN/SSQ-53F Directional Frequency Analysis and Recording DIFAR passive sonobuoys in a 12-mile radius around the suspected contact zone. These aren't the sonobuoys of previous generations. Each unit can operate for 8 hours, transmitting real-time acoustic data via encrypted UHF satellite link. The sonobuoy field immediately confirms Sierra 22 and identifies 2 additional contacts. Sierra 23 at bearing 312, range 52 nautical miles, and Sierra 24 at bearing 251, range 44 nautical miles. The trap is confirmed. 3 Chinese submarines arranged in a perfect ambush geometry with USS Philippine Sea steaming directly into the center of their triangle. But while the Chinese submarine commanders believe they're executing their mission in secrecy, every turn, every depth change, every propeller revolution is being recorded, analyzed, and transmitted to 5 separate U.S. platforms. They're not hunting Philippine Sea. They're performing for an audience they don't know exists. The tactical decision point arrives when Sierra 22 increases speed to 8 knots and begins a slow turn toward Philippine Sea's projected course. The Chinese submarine is maneuvering into optimal firing position. If this were actual combat, the Yuan-class would soon achieve a firing solution for its U-6 wire-guided torpedoes. Philippine Sea's captain, Commander Sarah Chen, receives encrypted flash traffic from Springfield. High confidence, all 3 contacts maneuvering for simulated attack request weapons release authorization for warning demonstration. This is the moment. The U.S. response will be measured not in hours, but in minutes. Not defensive, but overwhelmingly offensive. Not reactive, but surgically preemptive. At 14:42 p.m., USS Springfield goes active. Her AN/BQQ-10 sonar pumps 235 decibels of acoustic energy into the water column, a sound so powerful it can be detected across 200 nautical miles. The active ping is a declaration. We see you. We've been watching you. And now we're going to show you exactly how outmatched you are. Sierra 22's crew hears the active sonar hit like a physical blow. Their own passive sonar arrays scream warnings as Springfield's signal reverberates through their hull. For submariners, being hit with active sonar is the underwater equivalent of having a searchlight locked onto you in darkness. But what happens next is beyond anything in their training manuals. Springfield launches two Mark 48 Mod 7 Advanced Capability ADCAP torpedoes in exercise mode. Warheads disabled, but everything else fully functional. These aren't training rounds. These are operational weapons running at 55 knots, their advanced guidance systems tracking Sierra 22 with millimeter precision. Simultaneously, USS John Warner illuminates Sierra 23 with active sonar and launches two exercise Mark 48s of her own. The third Chinese submarine, Sierra 24, suddenly finds itself bracketed by sonobuoy patterns from both P-8A Poseidons, while USS Philippine Sea's two SH-60R helicopters launch from the flight deck, each deploying dipping sonar and carrying live Mk-54 lightweight torpedoes. Exercise mode means the torpedoes won't explode, but they will make contact. For the next 9 minutes, 3 Chinese submarines experience the terror of being hunted by weapons they cannot evade. The Mark 48 ADCAP torpedoes are faster, smarter, and more relentless than anything in the People's Liberation Army Navy arsenal. Sierra 22 attempts a crash dive to 650 feet, deploys acoustic countermeasures, and executes emergency evasive maneuvers, hard turns that strain the hull and throw crew members against bulkheads. It doesn't matter. At 14:49 p.m., the first Mk-48 makes physical contact with Sierra 22's hull, a metallic thud that echoes through every compartment. Had the warhead been live, the 650-pound high-explosive charge would have broken the submarine in half. Sierra 23 fares no better. John Warner's torpedoes execute a perfect bracket maneuver, one approaching from the bow quarter, the other from the stern. The Chinese submarine commander attempts to put a thermal layer between his boat and the incoming weapons. The Mark 48's advanced guidance system adjusts instantly, recalculating the acoustic path through the thermocline and maintaining lock. Contact at 14:51 p.m. 2 hits, port and starboard. In combat, Sierra 23 would be sinking to the ocean floor. Sierra 24, the third submarine, witnesses the electronic carnage on passive sonar and attempts to run. The submarine blows ballast and surfaces in international waters, a universal signal of surrender. It's a humiliating admission. We can't survive this fight even in training conditions. But the U.S. Navy isn't finished. What follows is a 21-minute display of anti-submarine warfare capability that will be analyzed in Chinese naval academies for years. USS Philippine Sea, which the Chinese submarines had targeted as vulnerable bait, now demonstrates why Ticonderoga-class cruisers are called the backbone of the fleet. The ship's two SH-60R helicopters establish a rotating sonar picket, their AN/AQS-22 dipping sonars creating a continuous acoustic barrier. Each helicopter can detect submarines at ranges exceeding 10 nautical miles, prosecute targets with Mark 54 torpedoes, and coordinate with surface vessels and other aircraft through Link 16 tactical data networks. The Chinese submarines, designed to hunt surface ships, find themselves trapped in an aerial anti-submarine net they have no doctrine to counter. The P-8A Poseidons expand their sonobuoy fields, dropping an additional 47 buoys in precise geometric patterns that turn 80 square miles of ocean into an acoustic fishbowl. Every Chinese submarine movement, every course change, every depth adjustment, every attempt at evasion is tracked in real time and transmitted to all U.S. platforms. The message is unmistakable. In these waters, there is no place to hide. At 15:02 p.m., USS Springfield surfaces 3,000 yards from Sierra 22, a calculated demonstration of how close American submarines can approach without detection. The Los Angeles-class boat's conning tower breaks the surface, water streaming from its sail, while Sierra 22 remains at periscope depth, unable to safely surface with exercise torpedoes still circling. It's a humiliation visible to Chinese maritime patrol aircraft monitoring from 200 miles away. The final demonstration comes at 15:14 p.m. when both U.S. submarines simultaneously execute ultra-quiet sprint and drift maneuvers, accelerating to 25 knots, then instantly going silent, a tactic that confuses enemy sonar operators and demonstrates speed capabilities that Yuan-class submarines cannot match. The acoustic signatures are recorded by Chinese hydrophone arrays, permanent evidence of the capability gap. From 14:20 p.m. to 15:14 p.m., 54 minutes. That's how long Operation Phantom Trident lasted from initial detection to final demonstration. The statistics tell a brutal story. 3 Chinese submarines deployed for an ambush operation. All 3 detected before achieving firing positions. All 3 prosecuted with exercise weapons they could not evade. All 3 subjected to continuous tracking throughout the operation. 0 American casualties. 0 risk to USS Philippine Sea. Complete intelligence collection on Chinese submarine acoustic signatures, evasion tactics, and operational doctrine. The strategic outcome? China's underwater surveillance network proved inadequate. Their submarine coordination doctrine proved vulnerable. Their boats proved too loud, too slow, and too predictable against U.S. anti-submarine warfare capabilities refined over 75 years of Cold War and modern operations. But the implications extend beyond one operation. Every sound signature captured during those 54 minutes is now cataloged in U.S. Navy acoustic libraries. Every evasion pattern is now understood and countered. Every tactical limitation is now exploited. The 3 Yuan-class submarines that participated in Operation Silent Blade have become permanently compromised assets, their acoustic fingerprints known, their capabilities mapped, their effectiveness in any future conflict dramatically reduced. For the crews of those Chinese submarines, the psychological impact is equally significant. They trained for years to hunt American surface vessels. They deployed, believing in their equipment and their training. And in 54 minutes, they experienced what it feels like to be prey instead of predator, to be hunted by weapons they cannot escape, in an environment where American technological superiority transforms the ocean into a transparent battle space. 1 Chinese submarine surfaced in surrender. That image, transmitted via satellite and observed by multiple intelligence platforms, tells you everything about how this operation ended. Here's what Operation Phantom Trident teaches us about modern undersea warfare. Submarines are only effective when they're undetected. The moment they're found, they transition from hunter to hunted. The U.S. Navy's investment in multi-domain anti-submarine warfare, combining satellite surveillance, maritime patrol aircraft, surface vessels, and attack submarines into a seamless network, has created an environment where even the quietest diesel-electric submarines cannot hide. The South China Sea, which China claims as territorial waters, proved to be transparent to American sensors. The underwater surveillance network China has spent billions constructing proved vulnerable to tactics developed during decades of Cold War submarine operations. And the submarines themselves, Yuan-class boats that represent China's most modern conventional submarine technology, proved inadequate against coordinated American anti-submarine warfare doctrine. This wasn't a battle.
This wasn't even a close contest.
This was a 54-minute educational demonstration delivered to Chinese naval planners who believed their submarines could operate with impunity. So here's the question that should keep naval strategists awake at night. If 3 submarines executing a carefully planned ambush in home waters can be detected, tracked, and neutralized this decisively, what happens in actual combat when the weapons are live and the stakes are survival? What's your take on the undersea warfare balance in the Indo-Pacific? Does China's growing submarine fleet pose a legitimate challenge to U.S. naval dominance? Or does this scenario reflect the reality of capability gaps that technology alone can't bridge? Drop your analysis in the comments below. For more deep-dive military scenarios that explore modern warfare capabilities and strategic doctrine, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. These breakdowns take hours of research into real platforms, real tactics, and real geopolitical tensions. Your subscription helps us keep producing detailed military analysis. This has been a fictional scenario based on real-world capabilities and strategic realities. The platforms are real. The technologies are